Is nonviolent protesting an effective tool for social change in America? With many signs of evidence in the Martin Luther King Jr. racial marches, I would say yes. Yes, that nonviolent protesting is an effective tool to get change done.
Violence has been the go-to solution for problems being faced. For example, Rodney King, who approached the civil rights movement with malicious intentions, only caused a more chaotic environment. Martin Luther brought attention to a big issue that was very controversial and sensitive during this time. His take on nonviolence was imperative in his efforts and assisted in gaining traction for the movement. He was honored his own memorial for his works, whom is the only non-president to ever be granted one.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with
famous sit-in. One of the most popular ones occurring in Greensboro, North Carolina, between four college students. The simple act of sitting down at the whites-only lunch counter set an example for young people all over the country who were looking for a way to challenge Jim Crow segregation. The U.S. Supreme Court's 1954 Brown v. Board of Education ruling to desegregate schools and the Montgomery bus boycott are often perceived as the beginning of the movement. The historic court case was broken not by Martin Luther, nor by the NAACP, nor by any of the established and venerated civil rights leaders and organizations, but was broken by the direct actions of fed-up college students.
Speaking of the Montgomery bus boycott, Rosa Parks' act would be a source for one of the most widely known stories that can be told about social change in America. Social change will never happen overnight. It takes patience, perseverance, effort, and often a lot of time. Rosa Parks' actions also put the image in people's lives that we can all be a part of change. The Montgomery bus boycott story is a blueprint for social change. If we can realize our power, then we will be strong enough to demand what is ours, and that is social equality.
A few miles down the road, literally, here come the Freedom Riders. They provided a real-life example that inspired many to take action for more civil rights. They inspired many people in the South to act against their infringements, forced federal law enforcement to cooperate with local law enforcement in order to safeguard civil rights, etc. As a result, the demand for direct action for civil rights became widespread throughout the country, which forced the federal government to enforce its laws in local communities, and the voter registration issue was eventually solved.
The Voting Rights Act bans racial discrimination in voting practices by the federal government, as well as by state and local governments. Passed in 1965, after a century of deliberate and violent denial of the vote of African Americans in the South and Latinos in the Southwest, the VRA is often held up as the most effective civil rights law ever enacted.
King's beliefs and behaviors was a major influence on society at the time. Police forces didn't hesitate to use violence against the peaceful demonstrators and protesters, but in the face of their civil resistance, the overbearing physical techniques and brutality of their weapons lost their power. Nonviolence made people realize that violence will only win the battle, but resulting to other techniques like sit-ins and the bus boycotts will be an effective way to win the overall war.